So what if we take everything we learnt from the GTA 6 leaks and now everything that we've learnt from the trailer? Let's start off with the map and location. GTA 6 takes place in the state of Leonida, which is Rockstar's version of Florida. We have a pretty good idea of what the map is going to look like, and you can see that on screen right here. You can see we have Ocean Beach on the very far eastern side of the map, followed by Vice City slightly to the west. You're then going to have the Keys slightly south of that, then extending right to the bottom of the map. And slightly above that you're going to have the Grass Rivers, which is going to be the Everglades. We then have a location called Port Gellhorn, which is based off of Fort Myers in real life, which is going to be in the northwestern area of the map. There are some other locations that have since been confirmed, but we're not 100% sure where they're going to be. There will be a giant lake in the middle of the map, probably named Lake Leonida. This is likely to be very similar to the Alamo Sea from GTA 5. But it doesn't just stop there. We also have some other unconfirmed locations that we're not quite sure where they fit into the map. And one of these areas is actually called Kelly County. I could imagine this is probably a smaller area on the map, somewhat similar to Strawberry from GTA 5 as well. Speaking of the map and location, Rockstar Games have gone through the extra effort to make this game look as close to real life as possible. As you can see from this screenshot right here, this is the real life location compared to GTA 6, and you can see virtually every building is scaled to 1:1 scale, besides the building on the far left. This just goes to show how incredibly detailed this map is going to be in scale, because this is a real life island called Biscayne Island, and if you compare the two here, you can see the striking resemblance with nearly every building scaled 1:1, and even the island is pretty much the same size as it is in real life as well. The game is going to be truly alive with tons of nightclubs, Malibu Club returning from Vice City, super yachts and rooftop parties. The streets are going to be packed with life, and the amount of NPCs that we can find on beaches is absolutely outstanding. Just take a look at the amount of NPCs that we can see right here. The skies are going to be completely filled with tons of air traffic, and the waters are going to be filled with jet skis and fishing boats. The AI are also stepped up a notch too, with even more detail. You can see here they're throwing items to each other, spraying people with suntan, jogging with their pets, and tons more. And aside from this, there's also different gangs in different culture groups, such as the Hillbilly Mud Club. This is a parody of the real-life Redneck Mud Park, which is a real event that happens in Florida. The streetcar meets, biker gangs, and all of the street takeovers we see in the trailer as well are also references to real-life things that go on in Florida. There looks to be a lot of enterable interiors that we can explore, a few of which you can see on screen while I'm talking now that have been found throughout the trailer. We know that a lot of these locations are also robbable. We saw them robbing a bait shop in the trailer, as well as Jack's liquor store. But not only that, of course, in the gameplay leaks we of course saw the robbery of Hank's Waffle Diner, and we also saw Jason entering a thrift store and using a special ability, which we'll touch on in a few moments time. Let's also not forget that Rockstar Games are adding the Metro mover to GTA 6 as well. Wow, so that was a lot of details, and that was just talking about the map and location. So let's now talk about Jason and Lucia. We know that at some point in the game, likely the beginning, one of our two main characters named Lucia will be in a correctional facility or prison after being caught for some sort of crime. Upon release, it looks like she wears an electronic tag on her ankle, which is a device commonly used to keep track of people as part of their bail or probation conditions, which can be seen in the official artwork of the game. The second main character, Jason, at this point in time his whereabouts are unknown, but we did see in the leaks at some point Jason and Lucia do rob a diner, like I mentioned earlier, called the Hank's Waffle Diner. This scene confirms a lot of really interesting details we're going to touch on very shortly, but it's confirmed now that Jason and Lucia are in a relationship and will likely begin their journey desperate for money, robbing anything they can to make money as quickly as possible. And their story is most likely going to begin in the northwest area of the map, which is where we mentioned earlier is going to be Port Gellhorn. It's not confirmed, but it's most likely the case. We saw this in the leaks as well, because Jason and Lucia are actually staying in a small hotel or apartment in the northwest area of the map that's believed to be near Port Gellhorn. And in this scene in the trailer right here, where Lucia is talking to Jason. This scene happens to be in the very same building or apartment we saw in the leaked gameplay. So this is probably our first look at one of the official safe houses early in the game that we stay at. It looks like a big part of the story dynamic between Jason and Lucia is definitely going to be inspired by Bonnie and Clyde. Now let's move on to items and inventory. All items within the world are interactive by the press of a button. This scene in the trailer right here shows just how packed and detailed small stores really are going to be. Unlike previous GTA games where you're able to pick up items automatically just by walking over them, this time you can now interact with each individual item, weapon, clothing or whatever that's on the shelves in front of you, and that includes money as well. We saw this in the leaks when they're robbing Hank's Waffle Diner, where the store clerk or whatever you want to call him puts money onto the counter, and rather than that money just instantly being added to our inventory, there is a button on the screen to pick the money up. Now this system for picking up item continues and carries over to valuables as well. As we know, you're going to be able to find a wide range of items, and shown on the screen here we can take them to the cash and carry or thrift stores, which is where we're going to be able to sell them for money or even rob these stores too. So I mentioned earlier about special abilities, and this is where we're going to touch on that very briefly, because during the leaked gameplay we saw Jason using some sort of ability that looks very similar to Arthur Morgan's Eagle Eye ability in Red Dead Redemption 2. Now this ability seemed to light up every valuable or every item that we could steal, possibly in the thrift store. We're not sure whether Lucia will actually have her own ability just yet, but we're pretty much certain that Jason definitely confirmed some sort of ability coming to GTA 6. As for what items have been discovered so far, you're of course going to be seeing these items on screen as I'm talking. You'll also notice that food items and consumables are now storable as well, so the game will likely feature some kind of health system similar to Red Dead Redemption 2 and stamina system as well, but this is just speculation at this point, so we're definitely going to have to confirm that at a later date. Speaking of the inventory system, we know that this system is actually going to be limited as well, because in some of the leaked gameplay we saw Lucia wearing a duffel bag, and it's also possible that each character is going to have a shared inventory system where Jason and Lucia can actually share items between them. So it's possible you can share items through the use of a vehicle where you store the rest of your weapons or items. Possibly a personal vehicle will be the same system. We also did see Jason robbing a storage container in the leaks as well, which once opened he discovered a Sanchez motorbike and a pile of cash, and he used a bolt cutter to open the container at the Vice City docks. So it's really interesting to see all of this level of detail coming to the game. Let's move on swiftly to the weapon wheel and health system. So this also goes for the weapon wheel as well, the health system and inventory system. All of these details were revealed in the leaks, but of course to be confirmed 100%, we don't actually have any gameplay at the moment, so we can't confirm whether the weapon wheel will look like it did in the leaks at the very final release of the game. But what we do know is that painkillers are a thing, and the weapon wheel does look like it is returning, but this time it's going to be more realistic, letting you only carry a certain amount of weapons at any given time, which may mean, again, reinforcing that statement I made earlier about our personal vehicles being a means of storing more additional weapons. And if you want to know all of the confirmed weapons coming to GTA 6 that we know of so far, I'll be flashing these on screen now and showing you guys a few of the screenshots from the trailer, so feel free to just pause the video while you take a look at those. One thing I do want to mention that's really interesting is it looks like other consumables will also be coming to GTA 6 as well, like cigarettes, cigars and bottles of alcohol. Let's move on to the key features. Now the game focuses on everything that made Red Dead Redemption 2 so great and takes it up even further. So you're going to be able to interact with NPCs with a vast range of reactions and responses, and the random events throughout the world look absolutely crazy. You've got the alligator in the pool, you've got the man who likes to water his garden naked, you've got women twerking on vehicles and people doing Ghost Rider challenges for TikTok. Another key feature that I found really cool is their realistic approach to stealing vehicles. We saw from the leaks that there is an item called the Vehicle Immobilizer Bypass, which I can imagine is going to be required to steal some of the high performance sports vehicles, and if we don't have that tool then it's going to be a lot more difficult. Another item for helping with stealing vehicles was that they discovered the Slim Jim tool, which is really interesting. There's going to be features to evade detection by CCTV cameras, because in the leaks we also noticed that CCTV cameras in the dev tools showed that some of them were recording. We also saw references to police being able to recognize the vehicle and what information they have on you once you've committed a crime. Therefore, if they don't actually have a good description of what you look like, what you're wearing or what you're driving, you may just be able to actually evade the police a lot easier in this game depending on the circumstances, which is really awesome, and I think it looks really realistic. And we actually saw this in the trailer potentially, where Jason and Lucia appear to be driving away from a robbery and we see the police cars drive past them because they haven't found out yet which vehicle they're driving. Now that is our first clue that that is definitely a confirmed feature. Another really awesome thing confirmed in the leaks was that once you pass within close proximity of a vehicle, you can actually loot the interior of a car by smashing the window without stealing the vehicle. So if you walk past a vehicle and you see, say, a laptop or a mobile phone inside, you can smash the window and steal them and sell them at stores. It looks like money we've made through illegal means will need to be money laundered, and so there's symbols on the map in the leaks that look like washing machines with dollar signs in the middle, which people are speculating is showing us that money laundering services are going to be available before we're able to access the money that we've stolen. We also noticed there's going to be a car fence and an art fence, which is places or locations we can go on the map to sell stolen vehicles and stolen goods. Some of the confirmed mini games so far is playing dice, golf, fishing, races, doing van shipments, robberies and deliveries. So it looks like we may even be able to do legitimate jobs as well to make a bit of money in the early part of the game. Now you may be wondering, what kind of GTA Online information do we have for GTA 6? Well, in the leaked gameplay we saw one clip that was believed to be multiplayer mode, and it went on to show that there was a 32 player lobby, so it doesn't look like 60 player lobbies are making their way to GTA 6, but as you can imagine, the amount of resources and sheer size of this game, it's not surprising that that's the case. You can also now choose whether you want to sit in the passenger seat of a vehicle or enter through the driver's seat, which makes me think that it's possible that Lucia or Jason, vice versa, whichever one you're not playing as, you can instruct them to drive to the next objective while you sit in the passenger seat and take care of any police chasing you or whatever the situation might need. If you've enjoyed today's video, I hope I've earned a like from you and possibly a subscription, and I'll see you guys sometime soon when we find out more about GTA 6.